Now that the prologue phase is complete, we'll enter the continual phases where the Reckoners phase takes place and then the Epics phase takes place, and then we go back and start the sequence over again until the end game or winning condition is met. And to win the game, we have to defeat Steelheart, which means we must research him down to the point where we can start damaging him and reduce his health to 0. The first part of the phase, all the players will roll their dice simultaneously, and they can re-roll their dice up to 3 times. But each time they roll, they have to keep a minimum of 1 die after each roll. They don't have to roll 3 times. They may get lucky and roll the dice they want to keep in the first or second rolls. But if they do roll the dice before they roll again, they must keep 1 die at a minimum. First, we'll start with Tia's dice. Again, the order doesn't matter since all these rolls take place simultaneously. And I'll let you know what the dice symbols are called as they come up, and we'll go over how they function throughout the gameplay. She rolled 3 of the dollar symbols, which represent earning money. This badge, red badge symbol, is the attack enforcement symbol. The magnifying glass is the research epic symbol. And we have an additional attack enforcement symbol. I placed Tia's dice on her player board for now, and we'll decide which ones we're going to keep once we see what everyone has rolled. And now we'll go ahead with David's roll. He received 2 research, 1 make money, 1 attack enforcement, and this new symbol we haven't seen yet, that is the plan symbol. Next up we have Cody. Several of the research, a double make money, attack enforcement, and this blue one that we haven't seen yet, that is the contain epic symbol. And finally we have Prof. 2 attack enforcement, 3 research, and 1 make money. The only symbol we did not see this time was this skull symbol, which is attack epic. But we'll place this back on the attack enforcement symbol like it was. These first few phases, I'll talk a lot about what I'm thinking and try to taper that off so the video series doesn't go too long with me talking, but I think it's important in the beginning to get an idea of what I'm thinking and what my strategy is. I've played through the game several times on the easy mode, and this is the standard mode that we're on now. I won a few times on easy, lost more than I won, trying to figure out what a good strategy would be. I have not won here on the standard mode yet. I've come close, but hopefully I can do a little bit better during this playthrough. What's really important is containing everything and not letting anything get out of control. You cannot let the epics or Steelheart's powers sliders get too far to the right. Then it's just unmanageable, and your population will start taking a lot of damage, and the powers just get out of control. They can get very powerful very quickly. And you also need to contain and take care of all the enforcement. Any that you leave behind will make the epics in those areas get stronger even faster. The first person we'll take a look at is Prof. He's right here in the power plant zone with Bolt and 3 of the enforcement. In his initial roll, we have several research, a couple of attack enforcement, and a make money. We have to keep a minimum of 1. I think the important thing to keep here will be the research, so we can try and make Bolt vulnerable, because you can see currently his health is infinite until we get this research of 4 down to 0, and then his health would become a 2 in his weakened state. I will keep this research, which goes nicely in the game trays here. The players have 3 of the basic dice and 3 of their special dice. And what's special is one of the symbols, depending on which player it is, will have a double. And you can see he has a double plan symbol on one of his dice faces. And when you're rolling, you want to try and go for those doubles because it gives you extra things. That's why I'm not going to keep any of these symbols from his roll. But like I said, we do need to research Bolt. So I'll keep this other basic die research also. So I'll keep both of those, and then we'll re-roll these for the second roll. but we'll wait to do that until everyone else has decided what they're going to keep. Also, Prof has the Lead the Way ability, so if we roll one of the attack epic dice, we can place it on this card to take care of 3 enforcement, which there are 3 of currently at the power plant. So we'll hope to roll that on one of the next rolls coming up for Prof. I want to talk about Cody now. He's here at the Navy Pier with Cinder. There are no enforcement there. Cody has a special ability of using the sniper token. The way the sniper token works is I can place it on any other zone. For example, if I were to place it here on Millennium Park, when Cody uses his special equipment and dice, he can use them as if he's in this zone also, because that's where his sniper token is at. So it effectively makes him really useful in covering 2 areas at once. What I will do with Cody's sniper token is I'm going to place it here on the loop with Powerhouse. We already have David here with Steelheart and Warhead. We'll let him work on containing them, and then he can handle Cinder and Powerhouse, keeping them contained in those 2 zones. But we'll have to have somebody eventually move over here and contain Arms Minh before the end of our phase. Cody does have the Disguise card, which will grant him 1 contain, and he also has the Flash Grenade, which will turn any Contain Epic symbol on one of the white basic dice into a double Contain symbol. That Flash Grenade would not count on the yellow dice. It would only count on the white basic dice. So we definitely want to re-roll these. Cody has the double money symbol, but I think right now I want to worry about containing, so I will keep the containment symbol, and then I'll go ahead and re-roll everything else. Again, David is here with Steelheart and Warhead at Millennium Park. On his dice, he has the double contain symbol. Since he's there with Steelheart and Warhead, we will keep the research symbol so we can start researching Steelheart, and we'll keep one of the plan symbols, and that will grant us another plan token for us to use. Plan tokens can be used just like any of the 6 basic dice faces, so it's good to stock up on those and use them to fill in the gaps where you didn't get good rolls. Also, David has Improvise as his ability, and with this he can change any die to a different face, and it's just the one time that he can do that with 1 die. And with him I usually save that for one of the blue dice so I can turn it to a double contain symbol. And before we go over Tia, I made a change to my plan. I put the sniper token over on New Cargo Theater instead, since we do have Tia up there to work on containing Powerhouse. And before we go over her dice, her special ability is Operations, and that allows her to grant somebody a plan token, and that plan token would go right into their tray and they could use it right away. And her double symbol is the double research symbol. And I'll go ahead and grant her an attack enforcement to hold on to, so she can maybe move and help out David there in Millennium Park where those enforcement troops are at. Now we've decided what we're going to keep for each player, so now we'll go to our second roll and re-roll all the dice we haven't saved. We'll start with Tia. She's been rolling a lot of money, but we did get her double research symbol, so that's really good news. Hopefully David can roll some contain. No. A whole bunch of attack. Next we have Cody. Got a couple of attack enforcement, some research and contain, and hopefully Prof can get an attack epic symbol. And he does. Very good. Even though that's one of his special dice, I'm going to keep that symbol so I can use it on my Lead the Way. And we'll keep his plan symbol so we can get some more plans in our tray. We definitely want to contain with Cody. And he's there with Cinder, and he can also affect the Arms Minh, so we need more contain symbols. I think I'll have him hold on to one of these attack enforcement symbols so he can help David out in Millennium Park if necessary. And we'll stop with that, and hopefully we get a better roll on our final roll. This was a tough roll for David. We do have our Improvise, so we can rotate one of these after we make our third roll, And I'm not really looking to attack Warhead, so I'll hold on to the money for now and hopefully roll some double contain symbols on my final roll. Tia also didn't hit a really strong roll. We'll keep our double research and we'll go ahead and keep our money. That way we can at least buy some more gear if these rolls come up poor. But I want to keep these two so I can hopefully roll another double research. These are my third and final rolls, so I have to keep whatever I get. We'll start with Tia. More money and an attack enforcement. David, aiming for some double contain epic symbols. And he did not get any, but we can change one of those dice. Cody could also use some contain symbols here. No, just enforcement and research. And finally, Prof. Lots of plans. That'll actually be really good in the next phase because he'll have a bunch of plans in his tray that he can use. First, I'll have David use his improvise to change a die, and we'll change his plan to a double contain. Or I'm sorry, that research to a double contain. Now I have to look over all of my dice and see what I can use in what order to eliminate this enforcement and contain all of these epics down to a manageable level, if possible. The players all work together. They can use the dice in any order they want to. I'll start with David. I'm going to use that double contain, and you place the dice here to remember that you used them. And I'm coming here at Millennium Park where David is at, and I'm going to contain Warhead. And that's 2 contain symbols. For each contain symbol, you can take the slider and move it 1 spot to the left. So for Warhead, those 2 contain symbols will move it all the way to him only having his initial ability. And you cannot move any further than that. You have to have at least 1 symbol showing between the bracket that's on the card and the slider bracket. Cody will use his basic contain with his flash grenade, which will make that a double contain symbol. And I'll use that to take Cinder down too. That way she's not taking out a big chunk of the population right away. Next I'll have Cody use the disguise to get a contain symbol and use the contain symbol on that die for 2 containment. And over here at Nukago Theater, I'll have him contain the Arms Minh twice because his sniper token is there. And I'll keep him under control. So far we've been able to contain Cinder, Warhead, and the Arms Minh down as low as we can. We still have to worry about Powerhouse and Bolt. And then we have to also try and contain Steelheart the best we can. I'll have Prof use his attack epic die to activate his lead the way ability and get 3 enforcement attacks, which will allow him to remove all 3 enforcement at the power plant. Since Tia is already at the loop with Powerhouse, I'll have her use her operations card to grant a plan token, and I'll have it granted to herself so she has 2. And she'll use both of those, 1 each to represent a contain symbol, so that would be 2 contain epic symbols because of these plans. And again, these can be used as any basic symbol. And those 2 contains will allow her to contain Powerhouse. Then I'm going to have her move to help David out at Millennium Park. And you can use any 1 die symbol to move. I'll use one of these money symbols to move from the loop to Millennium Park. And you can move from any 1 district to any other district. We'll have Tia go from the loop to Millennium Park. And we'll have her help out with those 2 enforcement symbols. And that will allow her to remove 2 enforcement troops. While she's there, we'll use her double research to start working on Steelheart. And that will take his research from 32 down to 30. I will have Cody use one of his enforcement symbols to move, and the other one to take care of the enforcement at Millennium Park. So he moves there and takes out the enforcement. And since he's there, we'll use a research against Steelheart, dropping him down to 29 remaining research. Prof is there with Bolt at the power plant. I will have him research Bolt twice and use his plan token to contain him once. Those 2 research will bring him down to 2, and then we can contain him once. But he still has a population symbol, so we want to try and contain him one more time. I will have David move and help Prof out at the power plant. Before he moves, though, we'll do a research on Steelheart, and then he'll move using the money symbol. That 1 research will take him down to 28, and the movement will allow him to go to the power plant, where he will use his plan token to contain and contain Bolt. And finally, our last usable move will be having Cody use a token to contain Steelheart. When you contain Steelheart, you have to pick which row of sliders you're using your contain on. In this case, I'm going to use it on the yellow, because that is where he does damage to the population. And if we lose our population, the game's over for us. Prof will play his remaining dice, which will give him 5 plans. And those plans are not available in the tray. They're not available until the next phase. Cody has an unused enforcement die. We could move him to separate him from where T is at. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll go ahead and use that to move. I think Cinder's our most dangerous epic out there because she hurts the population even at her lowest strength. So we'll have Cody go there for the next phase and hopefully start doing some damage to her. David will earn himself 3 tokens to use, 3 plan tokens for the next phase. And Tia will earn us a couple of dollars to spend. And those 2 will be all we have to spend. At this point, if we had any epics that we defeated, they would grant us a reward for their defeat. And that's detailed in the upper right corner of each of the epics, what reward they grant. And you want to pay attention to that, because if you're going to take an epic out and they grant research or contain epics or taking out enforcement, you want to take that into account. For example, Powerhouse will allow you to take out 2 enforcement, so you might as well leave 2 out here instead of using dice and resources. If you know you're going to take him out, when you gain the reward, you can take out those enforcement before they have a detrimental effect to you. We didn't defeat any epics, so we don't do that right now. Next, players can collectively spend money to buy equipment cards. We only have $2 to spend, which means the only thing available to us is the gravitonics. And the gravitonics allows us to use these symbols interchangeably, whichever character has it. So the attack enforcement symbol can act like a contain epic symbol and vice versa. And that has an infinite use, and it applies to any dice and or symbols on cards that you can play also. We will purchase that for 1. That card will immediately be replaced by a dowser, and the dowser would grant us a purple die, the same dice that Tia used. The Gauss gun would grant us a red die, which is one that Megan would use. She's not in the game. The Imager will turn a research symbol into 3 plans, and the grenade launcher allows us to launch 2 epic attacks on any district. We'll let Cody have this also, since he has several items that already have a contain epic symbol on them. He could turn them into attack enforcement if necessary, and with his sniper ability, it's like he's in 2 places at once. If we had defeated any epics at this time, we would add epic cards to each city district that didn't have one, and we would start where Steelheart was at, and then proceed clockwise to replace those cards. Since we don't have any to replace, we'll go to the final part of the phase and we'll activate all of the epics. You start with the epic where Steelheart is at, and then go clockwise, and once they have all been activated, you activate Steelheart. First up, we have Warhead, who has the add enforcement symbol, and it has an arrow on either side of that, which means he will gift that to the districts on either side of him. He won't get it, but they will, which means Bolt will get some enforcement at the power plant, and Cinder will get some enforcement at the Navy Pier. And finally, the epic will get stronger by 1 plus the number of enforcement that are in their zone, or district that is. You'll hear me say zone instead of district, but I mean the same thing. There are no enforcement here, so Warhead will get stronger by 1. We'll continue clockwise, and Cinder will attack the population, and that symbol is a single attack population. If you look a couple over here, she has the double, which we definitely want to stay away from, but she's going to do 1 damage to the population. So the population will go from 40 down to 39. There is an enforcement in her district now, so she'll get stronger by 2. So her slider goes right back to where it was at the beginning of the phase. Next up is Powerhouse, and he has the increased Steel Heart power symbol and the red one, and that affects Steel Heart's sliders, which means Steel Heart's red slider will go up 1 more to the right, and Powerhouse will only get 1 stronger because there are no enforcement at the loop. Next, the Armsman has the increased enforcement symbol, and that will take place in his district of New Chicago Theater. And then he'll get more powerful, and since he added that one, he'll go 1 and then 1 more back to his initial level. And our last district before we get to Steelheart, we have Bolt, and he has the increased Steelheart black slider symbol, and that slider will get 1 more to the right. And thanks to Warhead adding that enforcement, Bolt will go right back up to his initial levels. And luckily he didn't go any higher because he only has 3. If you're already at your last symbol available, then you would enact whatever symbol is here 1 time for each time that you should have increased it. And that brings us right back around to Millennium Park with Steelheart, and we'll activate all of his now. And this will show you why it's very important not only to contain your epics, but Steelheart, especially these first couple. These can be a little more manageable, but this yellow one is the population decrease, and if he gets up a couple of levels, you're wiping out 4, 5, 6 citizens at a time. In this case, he's going to take out 2 citizens, causing the population to drop to 37. Next, we have the Discover Reckoner's base symbol, and he's going to get 4 of them. And that's what this middle track is here. It's going to go down and eventually off. So he's going to move it 4. So he's already at the last level. The next time it needs to go down, it will come off and go back to the top. And every time that it comes off and goes back up to the top, we have to take 1 of the player's dice of our choice, and we would place it down at the bottom of the board here, which means the player would not have it available to roll. And it would cost us $2 to recover each dice. We have seen Steelheart's increase enforcement track during the prologue. It's a little bit stronger now. So we're going to have 5, 6, 7 go out in groups of 3. And they will go out starting with the zone that Steelheart's in and then continuing clockwise. So we'll get 3 enforcement at Millennium Park, 3 more at the Navy Pier. So now we have 4 there. And the 1 left over will go to the loop. And the last track, the blue, is the barricade track, and we're going to have 2 barricades come out. The barricades are placed just like enforcement. We start with the district that Steelheart's in and place a barricade there, and then we continue clockwise and place the second one. Barricades restrict movement. As long as there's at least 1 barricade in a district, none of the players can move into or out of those districts. And in order to remove them, we would use one of our dice. Just like we use any dice to move, you can use any dice to remove a barricade in any district. It doesn't have to be the district that you're in. And the last thing we do is move Steelheart. We'll roll his dice, and he will move 4 districts. And he does so in the clockwise fashion. So he'll start in Millennium Park and go 1, 2, 3, 4, bringing him to the power plant where David's at. Now that Steelheart is moved, we start the phase over again with the Reckoners. They will all roll their dice simultaneously and start again. And hopefully this time we can do a better job containing Steelheart.